Hey guys, it's Frankie, and SCUM released a friggin' sick patch. Now, I don't know if you guys are familiar with my channel, but before I used to release but I used to release SCUM stuff, and it got pretty popular. But SCUM was kind of reaching a state where I was really, kind of unhappy with it, and now they have released a patch that is, I think, in my personal opinion, it's going to fix a lot of the problems. It's not the top tier game yet, but it's on track to getting there. And so we're going to review this awesome patch. It's patch 0.4.93, and man, I'm so excited for this. So I'm going to minimize myself because I don't want to be in the way. Are we here? Okay, guys, let's do this. Okay, so they added Killboxes, which is friggin' awesome, because before, map movement was a very big problem with the game. People would usually build their base next to a place they could loot, and then they would just loot that place, and then they would come back, and that's that. Well, they're solving this problem by introducing something called Killboxes. You're gonna have to go out, you're gonna have to find these green key cards here, and then with this, you're gonna have to go open the door with this. Now, mind you, these are in bunkers. This review is a little late compared to others. You can go and find people who have done this already on YouTube, which is actually kind of why I wanted to wait a little bit so I could understand it more. Then you'll be released into this room where there'll be, each one of these doors has a padlock. So you're gonna need like a high demolition skill, because you're going to need to cut the wire. And the way that it works is, imagine this box, this picture right here, is the bomb. There's going to be some buttons over here, but what matters is there's going to be buttons along this side, and then there's going to be wires that come out on this side, right? And then there's going to be a jumble of wires in the middle, like this, okay? So the way it works is, one of these is going to be green. You have to trace that wire out to the coinciding one on this side, and you clip it on this side. Right? That's how that's going to work. So the big thing is you're going to want to high demolitions, because if not, if your demolitions is like 0, you have like 3 seconds. So it's going to pop up, and you go, and then you're going to fail. And then zombies drop out of these tubes right here and will pummel the shit out of you unless you have like a samurai sword or something. Okay? So when you, okay, they showed it right here. When you hover the card, it's going to show you like when it expires, which I think it's like 3 days on the fresh one. It's going to tell you where exactly. See, this one wasn't finished yet, because it tells you like D1, or it will say that this opens a door in C2. The kill boxes aren't brand new bunkers. They're going to be in the existing bunkers that you know of in that quadrant. So if there's 2 bunkers in one quadrant, you're going to want to go in that quadrant and check. And make sure you check behind all the doors that didn't used to open before. Some of them will open and then lead to a hallway that leads to this. Now, from what I've observed watching YouTubers, it says when the timer hits 2 minutes, it'll fill with poison gas. You don't need this. It will just give you more time. You'll be able to sit in there for the 2 more extra minutes. So my mistake before is I was hunting for these and then going. So when the kill box starts, you really have 13 minutes. This will buy you 15 minutes of time, and then at 15 minutes, kill lasers will absolutely just blast the room and destroy everything in it. And at the end of that time, you don't want to be in there. You're going to want to run out. In the kill box, when you unlock the rooms, you are going to get all this sweet loot, and they have guaranteed stuff in them, which is fantastic, because the problem that people had before is random loot. And so everybody plays on the highest loot servers, and if you're any fan of Eroctic, then you're going to understand my issue, and that is that I cannot stand the fact that everyone is playing on high loot. I don't want to play on high loot servers. I want to play on low loot servers. I want a hard survival experience, and I want to feel the gratification of getting items. I don't want it to just be that I instantly get everything and then I go PvP. Or worse, I don't want everyone to be getting items and then they're hiding in their base, which actually is literally lowering the FPS on server. But they've solved this, and I think we'll see a bigger influx of the more hardcore players coming in because of the fact that there's going to be guaranteed loot now. So I think the hardcore players are going to be looking for these key cards. They're going to be digging into getting these kill boxes and digging in for this loot, because, and this is even more huge, right? Like, there's so many implications behind this patch, and people might think that, like, at face value, this patch is just good. This patch is fucking fantastic. It literally shows the competency of the developers, right? And I'm going to explain why. By making people have to lockpick their loot. Mind you, this isn't just these. If you go into a police station or you go into military bases, all the like really, really fantastic loot spots are now you have to lockpick to get into them. Like all of the square gun panels that are on walls. So let's say you break into a bunker and you're running through the halls and you go into the armory room. You'll be able to loot the lockers and you'll be able to loot what's on the ground and ammo boxes. But the 4 steel cages that are on the side, you have to pick lock them. So what that means is you're going to see less straight PvP builds where people are making the darker or tattooed characters for camo. They're going full awareness, full camo. They're going full gun skills. And then they just rush loot, they grab it, they hunt you down. Well, now you need to invest into some lockpicking. You need to invest into some demo. This is causing you to have to disperse your skill points out, which is really healthy for the game. And if you play in big groups, you're going to have specialists now. You might have a survival specialist and your engineer specialist to build the base, and then you're going to need a demo specialist. And honestly, lockpicking, they made it a little too easy for the PvE anyways. You might want an expert lockpick for your PvP combat. But you don't really need super lockpicking because they've introduced the C4. The C4 just absolutely demolishes the base walls, which is fantastic. Now, I think this is all tier 1, which there's a change to that too. We'll see that later. I think these are all tier 1, and I think it one-shots, but I'm not really sure. This could have been weakened already. But the big thing is there is going to be Rust-like rating, which don't let that scare you away. I know that community sucks and they're awful, but this just gives people a different avenue. You're not going to be able to funnel people through mine-ridden doorways and trap-ridden doorways. This is a godsend. I know some of you who love base building and stuff, this is going to be a little scary to you, but I promise you it's healthier for the game, right? Because you're going to have more players on. And if you're building your base with the implication that you really don't want people blowing up your walls, play the PvE servers. I'm sorry, but it's a PvP game, and that shit's gonna happen. There are plenty of servers where they give you 2 or 3 quadrants that are PvE to work with. There's workarounds for this. This is so much healthier for the community as a whole, but you'll be able to blow through. People won't be able to make 5 doorways in a row that are all mined and all spike trap. You'll be able to find other avenues in, making the way that you have to defend your base so much more 3D chess than it was before. Okay, let's move on. Because there's going to be so much lockpicking, they added in this common screwdriver. This is a lie. It has 3 uses. This is so much more common now. Like, you'll be able to find this in so many more places. I find this a lot, and it's just enough to get you by into the PvE loot spots. So, from my experience, the lockpicks are just as plentiful to find. These common screwdrivers are very nice. And then you have about, on a basic lockpicking level, you have 10 seconds to lockpick the PvE locks. They're just so much easier. The PvE locks that are here are harder. So these are more like PvP. But all of the ones in stations are these. You're not going to get a submachine gun out of the police stations. You will. I'm pretty sure it's guaranteed loot. I don't know if I've ever opened one and got nothing. I'm sure it's possible. But I always get at least ammo and stuff. And they're all 1 rust lock, which takes 10 seconds. You have 10 whole seconds on a basic lock picking to get. It's just like Skyrim. It's really not hard. The area is pretty forgiving. So you're going to want like a lockpick specialist, or you may want to consider going at least higher than basic because of these. These are fairly tough. You have a lot less time. I believe at gold lock level, you have like 4 seconds. If you have like expert lock, or not expert, but if you have advanced lock picking. Could be wrong, but it's somewhere in that area. And that's very, very hard. Okay, so for base building, there's been a huge change. So by now you'll have lost your walls, but they did make it so that you could have your old walls up and that they would degrade. But by now it should be gone. If you're just jumping into the game now, the way walls work is they start at tier 1, you build them up, and then you have to overlap your wall over the walls to create this. So they're going to start at this, and then you go to build the wall again, and you upgrade it from this to this, and then to this. And you can see how they're doing it here. This is your basic wall. You then go and build the wall again. If your engineering level is high enough, then you can upgrade it, and then you can upgrade it a 3rd time. So what's really nice is this is a bigger resource sink for base building. This means that people won't just have mega bases because they have an engineering specialist on their 10-man squad or whatever they have. I know, boohoo, 10 mans. This just really helps the solo player like myself. This makes it harder for me, but at the end of the day, if I'm PvP statting anyways, I'm not really building a big base to begin with. So I don't really care. because my meta is not the same as a large player number, big base meta. This is really good for me because they got a nerf, but it's really cool because engineering skill got a buff. So if you're the builder of your group, you just got a huge buff in your value because they need you very badly now to do this. And mind you now, this isn't just with walls. Not only walls receive this upgrade, but towers, doors, and door frames too. So at tier 1, I'm going to be able to run over and C4 your shit. And even if your walls are good, I might be able to break down barricades and other things. And if it hits a mine that's nearby that I didn't trip, you know, I'm going to clear all those out. So these are all really cool things to think about for you strategists out there that love thinking about defense. I really enjoy that, but I don't normally run with a big group. But I totally understand, like, just the thought process of trying to figure out how to cover your angles and defend your base from attackers. Right here, they go ahead and address the fact that there's a timer now. They like literally ripped out the ability to build all the old stuff now, but by now everything should be gone. I've been playing a little bit and I've seen people's walls around like 5 minutes and stuff. If you are like me, you're gonna be so excited about this. They added the workbench as a craftable, so you don't have to run out and find the drill presses and the workbenches to make some of your stuff. You can now have this in base. And you might think that I would disagree with this because I don't like base bunkering, but this is totally fine. Like, I do feel like there's a certain element to a base that you should feel comfortable within it, and you should be able to live a PvE lifestyle. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's really healthy. Because of the addition of the kill boxes and all these other awesome things to get you moving outside of your base, this is fine. If people want a turtle, they're gonna get a little more hurt from it. So because they nerfed turtling, they need to give it a little bit of something. And I think giving the workbench was actually long overdue. I think this should have been here from before. I understand why they didn't. They wanted movement about the map. But honestly, with the kill boxes and stuff, I think this is totally fine to add in now. They picked a really good time to do it. And now you don't have to worry about running around just to find the dumb machines. It didn't feel like a good thing to have to run around for. Running around for keycards and kill boxes feels like a healthy thing to want to go hunt. Hunting these stupid drill presses and stuff so you can craft your ammo didn't feel good. Because I'll tell you what, I had an ammo thing in my house in real life. I feel like if you can craft walls like you can in this game, you should be able to make a workbench. Also, another big thing, you can now make bunk beds, which is pretty sweet. They just look so much better. Like I said before, it can make all these sick walls and big things. Oh, they actually addressed that, which is pretty great. They're like, you can make some national wonders, but you could only make this little raggedy bed. So the bunk bed is now a thing. I haven't built one again because I'm not a base builder. I'm a PvPer, so I only build my really basic low-cost bed. So I don't know if the hit points on these is better or if you just hold F and you can destroy it or whatnot when you run into it. But they do look super nice. As far as light sources go, I know they did that big light patch before where when it gets dark, it gets hella dark, but they added in these lanterns. Now, I'll tell you what, I actually haven't seen one. I've put in maybe like 3 days worth of time on this new patch, and I've yet to see one. I don't play on high loot servers. Maybe they spawn more on those, but I have yet to see one. So the portable work light can be charged with batteries. I have found batteries. There's a new phone battery you can find, which will help power like little things like this now as they add more of these into the game. I'm assuming like a flashlight's probably coming. You could use the car batteries and such to power these, but they have a nice little cell phone battery that is way more plentiful to find. I found it a lot, even on low loot servers, and you could use that to power this one. And then of course this one is powered with gas, which is cool because guess what? Gas, batteries, these are resource sinks, things the game didn't have enough of before. Like with walls and upgrading being a huge resource sink, like you have to farm so much to get the top level walls and you get rewarded for it, there's now risk reward behind literally having light. Now most of you will probably still make the torch if you need light that bad, but I'm telling you, this is really nice because it gets friggin' dark now. I know that was like a patch from before, but it's so dark. Like I can't even see. Before at nighttime, especially if you're up in the winter parts of the map, you can see no problem. Now, even my screen's blacked out, and I think I have my brightness up a little bit. So these lights are super nice. Speaking of money sinks, and just like things that make your life so much easier, they have the chainsaw now, which yes, it does cut down trees like a chainsaw should, and yes, it unrealistically kills things like a chainsaw would not be able to do in real life, because it would get stuck on your bones, but they did add it. and it cuts down the trees faster, and it gives you more materials. That's right, more materials. So if you're base building your big stupid base for me to come raid later, you're gonna want to find you some chainsaws. On top of sweet chainsaws, I know you probably saw the wheelbarrows on Twitter, but they added a metal one, which I think they showed this one off on Twitter. No, they showed this one off on Twitter. They added wheelbarrows. They're like basically a poor man's car. You can put stuff in them and wheel around. I feel like this is a big buff for PvP players like me. You have to craft them, and building the wheel is kind of hell, but it's really nice to craft you up one of these. There's like a nice sense of accomplishment, and pushing one around and running around with all your stuff in it is friggin' hilarious. It's like a little mobile stupid base. It's just goofy. And then on top of it, you can push your friends around, and like they're jousting here. It's just so good. It's one of those things that I never even thought of. It's like the entryway into having a car. It's incredibly convenient. And then another thing, they're really important because they took out the really fast moving items glitch on the ground. It wasn't really a glitch, it was a feature. But you know, you got your items up here, you can pull down the black bar more, and then if you had logs on the ground, you grab one, you click hold it, and then you would just drop it into one of the black spots. And as long as you were moving forward, it would drop it in front of you at your feet. And that's how people were fast moving items. They took that out. They nerfed the movement of items so that these would become more valuable. I'm really sad to see it go, but it was necessary, and it was kind of goofy that you were able to do that. They added some clothing, which is nice, of course. I actually haven't even seen cargo shorts still, and I don't think I've seen these boots yet, and I don't even know if I've even seen these work pants. But hey, they're adding them. Super nice. If you run into them. I did run into these. These are cool looking. And these are everywhere for some reason. And then medical gloves, I swear aren't new, but they're saying they're new here. And then the safety goggles look goofy. They added earmuffs. And then of course they have a bunch of bug fixes and a lot of this stuff that you can read this later. But what is really big for all of you custom server people, they added a lot more resources for you guys to make your servers even better. So if you ever go to the patch notes, they do have some nice examples here, which is pretty great, from other editors. Really fantastic because it means that they're trying to tap more into the market of their community, which is always good for a game company to do. At face value, this seems like it's just a really good patch, but the fact of the matter is, this is a fucking fantastic patch because the implications behind everything. It means that 1, they know how to solve the problems that are currently within the community. 2, it means they're aware. Well, that should have been number 1. Any developer that's aware of the problems alone is actually, like, in this day and age, a unicorn. So we've got ourselves some unicorn devs who actually have the horn to be a unicorn, because most devs, let's face it, they're horses. They might be aware of the issues, but they don't give a shit because they're just horses. But our devs are unicorns, right? They got the horn because not only are they aware of issues brought up by YouTubers, they fix it within, I think, it's been like 8 months maybe? A big thing on Reddit with Eroctic. February? Was it February? And there was a big uproar about it, about base turtling and blah, blah, blah. Well, they took those concerns, they fixed it. They fixed it in one patch. Not completely, but they fixed it. For those of you who don't know, let me explain it really quickly because this video is really dragging. But the problem that people were having that are solo PvPers or duo PvPers like myself is that people would build gigantic bases on these high loot servers. Thousands of mines are on their base. There's not really much for us to do unless we get incredibly creative. And we felt that the game was dying because of that. Which, yes, the game is an alpha, but that's not an excuse. Like, this is the best survival game out there. Fight me. Yes, I think it's better than DayZ, especially after this patch. Because it's the best looking. It runs well. The devs are like unicorns. They're amazing. But the game was dying off because the stagnation of the base building. Like when they added the base building, my heart sunk. I thought that it would cause lots of problems. And while it brought a lot of cool features that I loved personally, it brought a lot of problems. Hoarding on high loot servers. Nobody wants to play the hardcore servers. Oh, it's too hard to do anything. You know, you die and lose all your progress. But if you have hoarded stuff, then you don't feel that loss that you play with a survival game. Well, some of us get excitement from that loss. Like, that's why people play Tarkov. If there was no loss, I wouldn't play this game. So this is encouraging those people that turtle. Maybe they'll actually pull a gun off their shelf. They'll go hunt some key cards. They'll go to a kill box so they can hoard more stuff. But guess what? While they're at the kill box, I can intercept them. Well, guess what? I can do the kill boxes myself. I'm already running around the map. I don't care if I grab a key card. Oh, it's 3 things away. I'm not scared. I'm just going to go do it. So I go do it. Now I have C4. Now I can break into their base. You know what I mean? Like, it was just so smart. And then on top of that, lock picking. If I built a base, I cannot build a million walls. I'm just one guy. And I always felt that lock picking was mega overpowered because it wasn't used for anything other than player locks. But now, with the addition of this, there's actually a new resource sink for lockpicking. And I'm enjoying lockpicking. I didn't really enjoy it before other than to get into bases, but this is sweet. And also, I don't know if they meant to do this, but it fixes the fact that people would just build a stupid base next to a military base, and then they would rush it, grab supplies, rush back. And if you killed them, you have 10 people who are just spawning and rushing, spawning and rushing, spawning and rushing. So if they came with like not so great gear already, then it's harder for them to loot gear. Now, for places like airfield, that's not a problem. All the bagged loot, like all the military containers, they're not lockpicked. So that's still a problem on airfield, but I would see it even at police stations. I would see people building mini bases up by the police station, spawning, running, grabbing loot, coming back, spawning, running, blah, 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 blah. And then that's all they would do over and over and over. But you have to lockpick it. So they don't just run straight to police station. They have to run around. They're grabbing lockpicks. They're grabbing screwdrivers. They're going to police station. They have to do that. They might have a chance to fail, but they're sitting there lockpicking. They're vulnerable. They're not just reaching in, grabbing whatever they need and running out. There's just so much. This patch just really is so much that when I'm playing, I feel it. I'm seeing it in players' movements. I'm feeling it in players' attitudes. Like, I swear to God, this patch really made a huge change in people's behaviors. And then on top of that, there's a huge reward, right? Before, NVGs, you kind of almost didn't super need them. They were really good, but you didn't like mega need them. Now that it gets so dark and you need to look around for so much, like I'm saying, like you literally can't see the walls in front of your face anymore. The lights are really great. There's like meaning to use lights. And because of all this, I've actually experienced in the last 3 days more RP. I'm putting RPs in quote because it's just more necessity to talk to people, but I'm going to call it RP. I've seen more RP and willingness to talk to someone instead of just blowing them away than ever. Because as the game gets harder, the player's bond grows stronger. And then a big issue I always had was for every action, there has to be an equal and opposite reaction. And it's a video game, so you can skew the lines between the reality, right? It doesn't have to be realistic. You can skew the line a bit, but you need risk reward, right? So if I'm gonna risk my life to go grab green key card and bring it to bunker, and then I need to be able to clip the wires and do all this hard stuff, if there was very little reward behind that, that would infuriate me. Well, because now there's guaranteed loot in places, people are a lot less angry now. Whereas people are like, I don't want to play on these low loot servers because it felt like the loot spawn rates were awful. People just didn't feel good about it. But by adding in absolute loot, even though there's a risk behind it, I don't see anybody mad about it. People are just loving it. They're like, yes, I can go get a machine gun with ammo. And before, all we had was drops, and people, 1 drop per server on a low loot server, 1 drop every hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on the server on those lower loot servers. Obviously everyone swarms those. People with vehicles get to them faster, but at least this way, when you get a card, you're like, yes, there's guaranteed loot, but I have to work for it. It's just fantastic. And I know I'm just beating a dead horse with these points right now, but it's hard to not be so excited for the future of SCUM. With this patch, it has solidified in my heart and mind best zombie survival post-apocalyptic devs ever. I think they'll be taking care of this game, and the game will thrive in the future. That we'll see half, maybe straight up DayZ numbers, and that this game will eventually sit on the throne uncontested, and people will not be able to argue that it is not the best survival game out there. Because guess what? It is. And if you want to fight me about it, go ahead and let me know in the comments below, because I swear to God, you cannot prove me wrong here. This game is just set course to be perfect unless the devs friggin' die or do something so astronomically stupid that you would have to question if the government stepped in and told them they'd kill them if they didn't flop their game. Like, dude, this game. So let me know what you think. I'm sorry this was a longer video, but it's just the, it's just this style. I couldn't really spice it up. But thanks so much for watching. Like and subscribe for more. Let me know your thoughts on the patch down below. Let me know if I missed anything. And tell me what you are most excited for in SCUM in the future. Is it horse riding? I know I am very excited for horseback riding. Is it the nutrition system? Is it jousting someone who is taking advantage of the new nutrition system? Let me know down below. And until next time, see you later.